Good morning, all. Depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice for radio. So today, we're going to be talking about Mega Pokemon. You see, Mega Pokemon are coming back to the Pokemon video games. We recently received official confirmation that Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, the new games coming out in November, will be featuring Mega Pokemon. Now, the only ones currently revealed are the first partner Pokemon, Mega Blastoise, Mega Venusaur, and Mega Charizard, both of them. But I think there's every chance we're going to be getting more of them, though we will have to wait for official confirmation before we know whether or not that is in fact the case. Here's the thing, though. The Pokemon trading card game follows the Pokemon video game. So what is the most recent Pokemon video games we've got at the moment? Well, they are in fact Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And what do we have in the Pokemon trading card game at the moment? We have a whole bunch of cards themed around Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. We're very much in the Alola region. Ultra Necrozma came around fairly recently. Duskmane and Dawnwing's Necrozma came around fairly recently. Naganadel was a recent release. At the moment, we are in the Sun and Moon block, and really now we're in the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon sets. So we're getting a whole bunch of Pokemon trading cards and trading card sets, like Celestial Storm, for instance, which are very much featured around Pokemon Ultra Sun and Pokemon Ultra Moon. So, given that Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are the next games, we can expect a lot more of the Kanto Generation 1 Pokemon moving forward in the trading card game as these games come out, but we can also assume that the trading card game is going to mimic the video games like they do. And that when Mega Pokemon came out initially, we got Mega Pokemon in the Pokemon trading card game, like for instance Mega Kangaskhan. And then for a while we're running through with X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, we have Mega Pokemon coming around in the Pokemon trading card game. Now they went away, but Sun and Moon, Sun and Moon had Mega Pokemon, but they were kind of an afterthought. They didn't really make a big splash in the story mode per se, and then they weren't legal for tournament play in VGC 2017. That's not to say Mega Pokemon weren't in Sun and Moon, but it is to say they very much weren't to focus like they were in the other games. So Mega Pokemon went away. We got GX Pokemon. Here's a picture of Snorlax GX because I love him. And the Mega Pokemon were roundly forgotten, and we were like, well, we don't really need Mega Pokemon in the trading card game at the moment. And they are legal in VGC 2018, but they still don't play a big part in the games. And we're playing around with Ultra Beasts and stuff. We don't need Mega Pokemon. And we were fine. And I even predicted rather loudly, and I was incorrect about this, my apologies, that we weren't getting Megas in Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. Well, now that it's been confirmed that I was wrong about that, we need to think about the implications for the Pokemon trading card game. Now, the first thing I'm going to say, and let's face it, I was wrong when I said they weren't going to be in the games, I've got to assume that they're going to be coming back into the trading card game. Because Pokemon as a company, one of the things they're amazing at is synergy. So for instance, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee is being released, and oh look at this Pikachu and Eevee Pokeball product, which is being released, would you believe it, around about the same time, in fact on the same day as Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Pokemon is all about the synergy. So if they end up going the Mega Pokemon route, which they know they are, children are going to go, hey mummy, I like playing Let's Go Pikachu on my Nintendo Switch. Maybe we should play the card game. And then little Jimmy, I assume he's called Jimmy, little Jimmy is going to be like, hey, why don't I have Mega Pokemon in the card game? But you wouldn't want to let that happen, would you? What you would want is little Jimmy opens a pack of cards and goes, whoa, it's Mega Blastoise. I remember him from the video game. I am all in on Pokemon now. It's all about synergy. So, given that it makes perfect sense for Mega Pokemon to come back, and I've got to think they are, the question becomes, how do we integrate Mega Pokemon into the Pokemon trading card game when we've got GXs? Now, if we go back to our Kangaskhan and Mega Kangaskhan example, we can see that it's very simple. All EXs were Mega, and okay, I've just given you an example of Kangaskhan that should be a Mega anyway, but how about Blaziken? Blaziken's a Stage 2, but as an EX, it's a basic Pokemon. So that means you put the basic EX down, you Mega Evolve it, one stage of evolution, you're good to go. Now, initially, the card designer said, you know what? These Megas are going to be a bit too good. Let's have a rule whereby your turn ends when you Mega Evolve. And that left Kangaskhan as the only viable Mega Pokemon. Literally every other Mega, people just ain't doing it. So they introduced Spirit Link. So if we look at Sceptile, for instance, we can see Sceptile EX, we can see Mega Sceptile EX, and then we can see the Sceptile Spirit Link. And then when you attach a Spirit Link to Sceptile EX, you can Mega Evolve without ending your turn. But then you have to turn down the opportunity to play other Pokemon tools, like Floatstone for free retreat, for instance. Unless you use something like a Field Blower to get rid of it, but let's not get too deep into that right now. That was how they did it before. It was a basic Pokemon with just one evolution into a Mega. They stopped you being able to evolve without ending your turn. That turned out to be too onerous, so they added in Spirit Links, which I think was a really, really good solution. You had to have the Spirit Link and the Mega, which made it a bit awkward. You had to turn down other tools, but it didn't make it too onerous so they didn't see play. And before Spirit Links, it was literally Kangaskhan, nothing else saw play. Thing is, if they do that nowadays, it's not going to work particularly well at all. We're not getting basic GXs other than ones which would be basic anyway. So let's take Mega Mewtwo, for instance. You can pop a Mewtwo GX down, Mega Evolve it. That makes perfect sense. I have no issue with that. But how about Mega Charizard? Now, it doesn't matter how good Mega Charizard is, because Charizard GX is a Stage 2. Even if you use Rare Candy, you're taking a while to get it up there. Then you've got a GX again. I'm not liking this, ladies and gentlemen, at all. This would basically make it like Stage 2 break Pokemon. And to be fair, Greninja did see play as a Stage 2 break Pokemon, but it was the only one. No other Stage 2 breaks were ever good. I loved Delphox. And I think Delphox had potential, but not as a Stage 2 break Pokemon. It was just never ever going to work. So now we end up back in that pre-Spirit Link situation, where a couple Mega GXs that are particularly good will work, but the majority of them will be unplayable. So that doesn't seem like a great solution at all. But there aren't really any other options other than one which has been suggested to me by a few people. Take advantage of Prism Star Pokemon. So what you do is you take a Prism Star and then you allow a single evolution on top of it as a Mega Evolution. Now this would do two things. First of all, this would mean that you would be able to have a basic and then a single evolution, which is clearly what we want, and would make them easy enough to be played that they would see a bit of play. But secondly, it would limit your Megas to one per deck, or one of each per deck, because if you're evolving from a Prism Star, you can only have one Prism Star in your deck, so you would have, say, one, I don't know, Metagross Prism Star, and then one Mega Metagross, which could only be evolved from a Metagross Prism Star, and then you're off and rolling. And this would kind of fit a little bit with the video game where you can only have one Mega in your team. I'm not 100% convinced, partly because at the moment Prism Stars are legendaries and mythicals, with the sole exception of Ditto, who is a bit special, and they don't tend to have Mega Evolutions, although Latias and Latios are great examples of Pokemon that have Mega Evolutions and already have Prism Star cards, so they would work beautifully with those. But I just don't see it working with other Pokemon. It just doesn't seem to be something that would work. And I can't think of another solution. Either you add another evolution onto GXs, but with Stage 2s that would just make them so awkward they'd be borderline unplayable, like Break Pokemon. Or you make them evolve from Prism Stars, which would work great for Latios and Latias, but then you'd have to introduce a whole bunch of random, non-mythical, non-legendary Prism Stars, and it just seems like it's a fairly messy solution. And I don't know where we go from here. I am certain that Mega Pokemon have got to come back into the trading card game, because you cannot have them in a video game which is clearly going to sell millions of copies and not have them in the card game that you want people to come and use after playing the video game. But I don't see how you integrate them in. Maybe it's a new mechanic. Maybe when GXs were starting to get designed, because bearing in mind, right, the first GXs came around in the Sun and Moon base set, which was released in February 2017, but then it was released in Japan in December 2016, and the cards would have been being designed for a little while before that. So, were they really thinking about how to integrate Mega Pokemon back then? Did the card designers know Mega Pokemon were coming back? There's a decent chance the answer to that question is no. And I'm sorry, but in this video, I don't actually have a great answer. Usually I like to think I've got the answer. In this video, all I can tell you is I'm certain Mega Pokemon are coming back because they've been announced. I am certain they're coming back to the Pokemon trading card game because it makes too much sense not to, but I cannot think of a good way to integrate them. But maybe you can, in which case might I suggest you get all up in the comment section, go nuts, but remember the rule. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do check out my other channel, Wassy Plays. We've got Dragon Ball Super, we got Transformers. It's good times. Check it out. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.